Chatty Bobby. Welcome to Wrasslin with Big E and the POT. Podcast tag champs of the whole world, slamming like a DDT. Got it like just like a figure four. Hulk Hogan, all they do is flex. Talking wrestling while they get the dough. Off the top like a superplex. Think they letting up? Hell no. Dusty Rose with the elbow. From the corner like a stinging splash straight to the face. I know you felt those. Hey, y'all crying out for help though. Rising up like the dead man. About to go upside your head like Stone Cold with the bedpan. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to Wrasslin where you need to be. Chatty Bobby, this show improved like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to Wrasslin where you need to be. Chatty Bobby, this show improved like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. Yeah.
Hey, welcome to Wrasslin with them Wrasslin boys. I'm the POT alongside my tag team partner Big E, and we're here to bring you another episode of premium wrestling content. What's going on, bro?
What do you say, brother? How you feeling, brother?
Ready for another one?
Hey, it's episode 61. Welcome to Wrasslin. Tony Baselli.
Hey, Adam Ross, Jacksonville State.
Yeah.
And
he's a
Huntley,
hey,
97.
Okay, Huntley. Adam Ross is a welcome to Wrasslin Hall of Famer.
No doubt.
Yeah. They shout out to Huntley, big Huntley 61. Hey, real quick, man, it's welcome to Wrasslin. Hey, he used to be in practice with the polo shirts on his pants.
With the Tommy Hilfiger style,
hey,
that big.
It was about him. Shout out. That boy had his school clothes up under his pants. It's episode 61.
Ooh,
that was a blast from the past right there, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh man, he was like, "Who was your boy in ninth grade that was the funk fat?"
Horace Miller. The funk factor.
Right.
Oh man.
Well, what a way to start. Welcome to Wrasslin, episode 61. Hey man, it is February 15th. Thank God it's not the 14th anymore. Valentine's Day is over. Hope all you welcome to Wrasslin guys and gals had a good Valentine's Day. But it is Black History Month, and today is going to be our Black History Month episode, and we'll be talking about famous Black wrestlers. We're going to talk a little bit about the All-Star game that was today, and then we'll move on and get into our topic for today. So start it off, man. Let's talk about All-Star Weekend.
Well, first of all, I didn't catch all of the Saturday night festivities. I did watch the slam dunk contest, and I'm gonna tell you the problem with slam dunk contest. One, they done did everything known to man that's almost physically possible. It's hard to come up with new dunks. That's not a straight gimmick, jumping over somebody or throwing the ball off the score clock, or it got to be something.
Putting the cupcake on putting the cupcake and blowing the candle out.
It's because you got to think. Of course, you had Dominique and Jordan back in the day with their duel or whatever, and then you got Vince Carter, who kind of like really ruined it by just being
amazing
dunker. Yeah, and then another issue. Well, shout out to Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon, who they had a pretty good rivalry they was doing some pretty amazing stuff. But now it's like the main problem now is that superstars won't get involved. So it's kind of like some young up and coming player who probably won't end up being a star, trying to get their fame in this slam dunk contest.
The guy that won it 3 years in a row is in the G League. And he's on 10-day.
Matter of fact,
he
posted on his social media. He showed 4 dunks that on his social media that was better than any dunk I seen Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think the guy Saturday night did bad. It's kind of hard to do anything we haven't seen before. So
it's hard to get pumped. It's hard for a guy that's trying to pump up the crowd that nobody knows who he is. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna have a few basketball heads that know who he is, but most of these guys don't play. They don't get much time. Like you said, the superstars don't get involved anymore. You've never seen. The only time you've seen LeBron James in a dunk contest was in high school. At the McDonald's American game. You know what I mean? So you're right. They don't get involved. Go ahead.
And he ain't the only one. I mean, hell, he's an easy target, LeBron James, but it ain't like Zion or
right. And these guys are
like, you think. I mean, Ja Morant, you think would have been amazing,
Mm-hmm.
There's others, but none of them.
Right.
I don't know if they're afraid of losing or
to somebody, getting embarrassed. But I mean, that's the part of competition. Jordan and Dominique went at it. It should have been 3 years in a row, but Jordan was hurt that year. They went at it. Kobe. You've had countless. Jason Richardson. Them guys was ball players, man, and still in the dunk contest. Steve Francis. Of course, like you already said, of course, you had T-Mac that was always involved in it. And then you had Vince that just really shut it down all the way down in 2000. Yeah, man, I thought the coolest thing when they brought 40 out there, jumping over E40, that was cool or whatever. But, it wasn't no real razzle dazzle because it was some good dunks and some good stuff. But everything is, if it's not something you've seen before, you've seen it based on something you've seen before. You know what I mean?
Right,
so, yeah, it's not really that exciting,
The guy who I felt should have won missed that last dunk, and then he had to do something kind of basic, which
just to stay in it. Yeah. Which at that point, it's like, why not try the other one? You know what I'm saying? But you kind of see if the other guy's gonna miss or whatever and mess up. So. Yeah, man, it's a lost art, really. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be better no matter what dunks they were doing if these guys that you get to watch that are playing all the time, that everybody's buying their jersey. They want to see those people involved. Kobe and them wasn't afraid. Jordan and them definitely wasn't afraid. The 3-point shooting contest seems to be more exciting sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even,
there's stars
right
in that. I know it's a different dynamic, but
still, it's somebody he's still out there going out, and you see some people got great shooters and come up and shit the bed. Have 11 points. You know what I'm saying? Don't even make it to the next round. It's all fun and games. You all at the All-Star game having a good time, All-Star weekend, and being involved. To me, is it's rather selfish for the fans, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? Rather selfish to the fans that they don't get to see that stuff because you don't want to, for some odd reason, you don't want to be involved. You know what I mean? So shout out to them guys like Dwight Howard, Nate Robinson, guys that really played some ball and was factors and was part of the All-Star game. You know, some of these guys were all stars. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Well, let's talk about the games today. And I said games. Tell me what you thought about the new setup.
I will give the NBA 2 thumbs up. This, to me, this was one of the best all-star, like you said, games. Which they played 4 quarters, but it was 3 teams. They had
like a little tournament for the day.
They had like the American stars,
the American young up and coming stars,
then they had the stripes, which was the old heads like LeBron and KD and those guys, and then of course they had the world team, Luka and you know Joker and Wemby and all those other guys. The intensity was different. They was playing defense. It looked like they cared more. To me, it was very entertaining. I haven't seen that much effort in an all-star game in years.
In a while. And people were getting mad about not getting calls, and I liked it.
Yeah. So hopefully they can continue that. I wasn't disappointed because I really didn't care at first before I watched it. I'm like, let me just watch it. It's the all-star game. So, you know, but when I watched that first quarter, like I was like, hey, wait a minute. Wemby was blocking shots and you know, and they was out there, you know, like it was different vibe, you know, and
out there going at it.
Beater and the second game's buzzer beater, and like all of them was close except that last game. I just think the old heads just kind of like, I don't want to say they were tired. But it was like they, because you know, Kawhi Leonard was hot that third quarter, which was their second game. In the back-to-back for the old heads, he was hot. Like he scored like 31 in that quarter. You know, because they playing in the Clippers, so it was like he was with the home crowd and he was doing the thing, man. But it was like when they played that championship game, they started out like 0 for 8 or something ridiculous, and it just kind of got ugly. But then it kind of went back to the old version of the All-Star game. Not as bad, you know, they wasn't chunking up half-court three-pointers and throwing alleys, but it was like once they got down by like 20, then it was like, okay, there's nothing we gonna be able to do within this 12-minute period. But overall, I really felt like the NBA made a lot of strides. So hopefully going forward, I'm pretty sure they will probably go with this concept again next season. I'm kind of interested to see what Stephen A. and all the experts.
What kind of feedback it gets. Because, you know, some people are going to hate it.
Tomorrow.
Some people are going to hate it. Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to love to hate on it. So, let me ask you this. So, yesterday I was going through some stuff on YouTube and I saw some stuff about Kevin Garnett talking about the All-Star game and talking about how LeBron ruined a tradition. Did you see that? Have you seen that? I'm just asking. I just go. You know what I'm talking about? The one-on-one thing.
I just with him and Kobe. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Kevin Garnett's a bitch. To be honest with you, great player. But
shout out to KG if you're watching.
Hey, he's a bitch. I think he's a bitch. Because now don't get me wrong, as a basketball player, Kevin Garnett will go to the foxhole. Like he's that guy that will leave it on the floor. No disrespect to that man as a basketball player. I was a Garnett fan. I still am.
But
great player, one of the greatest power forwards ever played the game. But he likes to talk. These podcasts and stuff. He's a bitch. And
he definitely talks that shit. That's for sure.
How you gonna blame one person just because he had his moment where he passed the ball? Like, fuck out of here, dude. Like, there's plenty of these old heads like
Mm,
Durant and whoever else who get sensitive about it when they talk about these All-Star games. You know, they all ruin the All-Star game. That whole era,
yeah,
like in LeBron's front and center,
right.
but
Free
that
reign,
whole
no
era,
defense. Yeah.
yeah, ruined the All-Star game. So I'm not gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, it was LeBron's fault." No, because them motherfuckers all did it.
Well, if you don't know what we're
They all
talking
did it.
about, just real quick, it's somewhat of a unwritten tradition about going one-on-one superstar to superstar in the All-Star game. And it's happened with everybody. A lot of people have done it. Nobody's shied away. And Kobe slapped the floor in front of LeBron, and they beat him up, and LeBron swung it and seemed to have pissed some people
Yeah,
off. They say Kobe was talking mad
it,
shit that were afterwards too, so you didn't want
yeah,
nothing. Like, hey, but
yeah,
you know, Kobe was a different monster anyway. I think anything he could have been out there playing with them girls, coaching them girls, and got competitive and probably bat one of them down and in the paint and everything. So he was a different monster. Him and a handful of other guys is a different competitor, a different monster anytime they get on the court. So, and KG is probably one of them guys. They love
yeah, yeah. I mean,
basketball.
I
They're very
agree. I
passionate.
mean,
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying to a certain extent. I get it. But yeah, I thought that would break any kind of LeBron hating. I'm all about. We can throw that in on here anytime.
yeah, I don't. Well, I'm not on that. I'm not on that team hate LeBron. Again,
Right.
to me, he's not the greatest player. So I mean,
No,
I'm definitely not on that tip, but I'm definitely not with the hating on LeBron either, though.
man, I just
But
don't.
as
You
far as
know,
Garnett, okay, and I'm done with after this. Even like when LeBron went to Miami.
mm,
Well, hell, Boston had a fucking big three before Miami
no, I
did.
wasn't mad at that. So everybody needs a switch up every once in a
I
while.
mean,
It's the
well,
crime. To
I
me, it's
get
the
it.
crime, man. It's
It
the
was the
it's the
drama. It
yeah.
was the drama how LeBron and them did it with the decision and all that other bullshit. I get it.
Yeah, but
I get it.
that's we talk about this all the time. That's the evolution part of the game, social media and making
Yeah.
being spotlight and being in the center all the time. That's just a part of it. Imagine what they would have did if Jordan was going to lead the Bulls and go somewhere else during his prime. I'm not talking about afterwards and coming out of retirement. If Jordan in '95 was not playing baseball and was like, I'm going to take my talents to Portland and play with the Blazers. You know what I'm saying? Or go to the Lakers or
Yeah,
something.
that's true. But
But we
we
all
both know
know.
that Jordan probably never would have done that. Though. What I mean? That's the
But I'm
difference.
just saying,
What
yeah,
I
I'm
mean?
just saying, but they would have went crazy. Would have been all kind of coverage and stuff, and trying to,
That's
sell a
true.
story. You know what I mean? So, but
That's
like I
true.
say, everything evolves, and it's just different times. But to me, with LeBron, man, it's every time he misses a shot, he's looking at somebody. Every time he does something, he's got fouled. Now, this is the way it looks to me. I'm sure it's not every single time. The flopping and all that stuff, I can do without all that. You can say it's old school or you can't get with this. I don't like it. Um, for him, everybody call him the greatest. I just can't. I can't do it. Jordan and Kobe was some
Yeah, I can't.
stone cold killers, and they're in a whole different realm by themselves. In my eyes, in my opinion. So,
Well,
but
again,
anyway,
I think there's layers to that because I kind of look at LeBron like a more athletic Magic Johnson. I think when you
mm,
talk about pure basketball player, I think there's nobody better than LeBron James because I think he can do more than
mm,
them two can, far as overall.
right,
But
he could take
being a
over the game
stone cold,
in different positions and stuff like that,
right? But
like
just
Magic could.
being an assassin,
Mm-hmm.
like the will to win and the heart. Yeah, we both know that
And want the
Jordan,
ball in his hand at the end of the game, no matter what the
Jordan and
defense is.
Kobe. Yeah, LeBron don't compare to them at all. So
No, no,
no comparison. So we can
right,
move on from that.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. And we don't have to agree to disagree. Absolutely, I'll take that all day
Right.
long. So, but yeah, man, Black History Month. Happy Black History Month, to everybody. Let's just get into it. It's no particular format. We can talk about tag teams first, which is sad to say, not a real long list. It's longer now because it's more of them now, but we'll talk about that. Then we can talk of the few managers that we got, and then we can get into the solo guys. And it's a couple of guys that'll be on both lists, very few, but a couple of them. Or we can just jump into it and talk until we get tired of talking about it.
All right.
So, but I think we'll do it this way. Let's just go ahead and talk about Ernie Ladd, Bobo Brazil, starting it off. Let's just start it off like that, and then we'll jump to tag team. We'll just jump all over the place and do what we do. How about that?
All right.
Let's talk those two guys for a second. Ernie Ladd came from the AFL and was actually a factor over there. He wasn't a failed football player, actually had a career and a decent one at that, and came to be a major villain in the professional wrestling. Was probably one of the first. I mean, he's had the book and everything at different places. Like he's a first of. He has a lot of firsts.
Right.
I don't even think we could name everything that he was the first one to do and what kind of barriers he broke. And no matter what people say about him and what kind of relationship he had with different people and stuff like that, he really broke some barriers as far as being a booker, being a top guy. You had Bobo Brazil, who was a top guy, who had titles and this and that. And really, those two guys really paved the way. I mean, I'm sure there was fews and chews here and there before that, but those are the main guys that we know of and that we've all, of course, we've seen tape about. But just when you think of black wrestlers, just what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Definitely, especially Bobo Brazil, because I mean, I know them guys was really before our time,
right?
Bobo, but you hear stories of him selling out the Garden and all of this, and he had some memorable feuds with a lot of the top heels in that era, and then what was like the late 50s and the 60s and the 70s. So I always, when I think of black wrestlers, I definitely think of those guys, especially Bobo, because I always think about talking about breaking barriers. It's like, damn, can you imagine like back then, like in the 50s and the 60s,
right. And you on the road with the guys that you can't even use the same bathroom in certain places.
Right.
And you're working with these guys every night, and y'all not even allowed to, kayfabe wise, you wouldn't go in the same bathroom at the same time anyway, but the fact that you couldn't, what I'm saying? If you wanted all the baby faces to go and use this bathroom, you got to go use the other one.
And but he was a face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So that was, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a couple of more early guys. That got a JYD, Junkyard Dog. You talk about being over. Everybody loved the thump. Had a good run in WWE, WCW, Mid-Atlantic. He was all over the place with Bill Watts. You know, I'm from what I've heard. I know you heard a lot. We hear a lot of the same stuff, and we share so much stuff with each other. So we pretty much watch the same shit all the time. But you know, I think JYD was supposed to get the belt as far as when he was with Watts, or was supposed to. Something was supposed to happen, or whatever. I don't know why it didn't. I'm sure you know you can kind of think why. You know, maybe they thought it wasn't time. But we didn't have a black world champion until 1992. 1992. And you talking about Bobo Brazil in the 50s and 60s. And the Ernie Lads. You know what I mean? These guys never had that big break. They did a lot of stuff, but as far as like being the top guy, it never happened. You had a Coco Beware. You can talk about Coco Beware as far as he's on the first WrestleMania. We're live, pal.
Well, back to JYD. When he made it to WWE, he was kind of past his prime, really. Very popular with the crowd still, but in his heyday with Watts, he was never the greatest worker.
Right.
But his charisma was off the charts.
And the people loved him.
And one thing you had to give Bill Watts credit for, you hear all these stories about that man, Bill Watts, but he always gave black wrestlers the forefront. Like he always looked at it like it was about green. And one feud that really stand out to me was the feud he had with the Freebirds when they blinded him. And that was like when he fought Michael Hayes at the New Orleans Superdome. That was like the biggest gate they ever had there for quite some time. You know, them people love JYD.
Right.
And he was, you know, plus we talk about Bill Watts, you know, you talk about Ernie Ladd earlier having the book. Bill Watts was one of the places that gave him the book for Ernie Ladd.
Right.
And then he had other wrestlers like Butch Reed and others that he pushed. And then eventually, you know, this is in the early 80s. And then, of course, in what it was like 84, 85, when Vince finally got a hold of JYD. But Vince had already, at that point, decided he was going to go national. And he started buying up, snatching up all these other territories, top guys, and, you know, and kind of changed the game back then. But JYD definitely was, when you want to talk about popularity, especially in that time and era,
right?
The list kind of starts with him.
Yeah.
You know. Now you mentioned Coco Beware, which was definitely WrestleMania and the Birdman
and Frankie.
You know, but
didn't have a very long run.
Coco Beware also. Yeah, well, he also had a run in the Watts territory and in other territories and like Memphis and all that. And he had a tag team partner, Norvell Austin, who was a part of the original Midnight Express.
Yes, sir.
And Coco Beware and Norvell Austin had a tag team by the name of the Pretty Young Things, PYT. And he's coming to ring with the little Michael Jackson Beat It jackets and with the Jerry curls. And that was, of course, that was right before Coco ended up becoming the Birdman in WWF. So Butch Reed, who I mentioned, who was also another one of Bill Watts,
the natural
guys that he pushed.
You talk about Butch Reed. So, let's talk about Doom for a second. Let's jump to a tag team. Let's talk about Doom. Ron Simmons and Butch Reed. They were managed by Teddy Long and also by a woman, and who was also Nancy Benoit, RIP. But it Doom, bro, they wasn't no joke, bro. Especially when they were out there with the mask on, and you kind of knew who they were because they were so big. You know, it weren't many guys out there like that. You know what I'm saying? But I remember with the Steiner brothers, when they had the match with the Steiner brothers and the Steiners took the mask off, and then you finally saw who it was, which you already knew. You know what I mean? If you had a little bit of wrestling history in you, you know, because I mean, let's just be honest, it wasn't a lot of black wrestlers. You know, but yeah, they were. You talk about dangerous, but Doom was dangerous.
Yeah, man.
I think about the match with them and the Horsemen in their street fight when they came down in them jeans and them tank tops and them cowboy boots, bro. You know,
90.
Hey, I think that was a hard day for everybody involved. That wasn't no that wasn't no. I'm gonna take care of you, and we'll have a beer in the back. No, it was a street fight for real. They went at it.
You know, when they throw them jeans on, man, it's about to go down.
Oh, bro. Especially that then, because even Barry Windham didn't look mean coming down there with them jeans on, them chaps on. No.
Him at Double A.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk. We talk Doom. You want to go? Let's talk another tag team. Throw a tag team out there. Got to talk about Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson.
Absolutely. Of course, talk about accolades. The first WWF World Tag Team Champions. And you know, Tony Atlas, definitely another one of those guys who was a freak of nature. I mean, Mr. What was he?
Mr. USA,
for his bodybuilding, and then of course Rocky Johnson is The Rock's father, Soul Man Rocky Johnson, and
who was also put together.
Former boxer, my understanding. The crazy thing that you hear about the story between them two, like they didn't get along. You know, you hear a lot of stories. Now, you know, you mainly hear Tony Atlas talk about it, but even and I've seen interviews with Rocky Johnson talk about it. He basically saying Tony was like sabotaged him, was like a snitch or whatever, and who knows? It's probably somewhere in between the little stories that they had, but it's just crazy. And I'm sure that happens a lot where a tag team guys, you would think that these guys be buddies and get on the road, and I'm sure they have issues from time to time because it'd be more like brothers or whatever, sibling rivalry, whatever.
Right.
But you hear a lot about them two really not liking each other, and that was part of the reason why their reign didn't last as long as it did. You know, my understanding.
Right.
You know,
they really could have cashed in. Yeah, they really could have cashed in, and then you know you had the stuff with Rocky Johnson kind of getting fired from WWE not too long after that for double booking himself and doing some stuff of that nature. But but yeah, man, shout out to them. You know, that was a cultural change right there, especially in WWE and anywhere. You know, as far as two black guys, and now they're a tag team and they're the champs. You know, and the crowd. When you talk about the crowd, loved them as well. You know, and they were two huge, jacked up dudes. Like, let's talk about a dangerous black tag team. Talk about New Jack and Mustafa. Let's talk about them before ECW. Let's talk about them in Smoky Mountain. And the Smoky Mountain Wrestling was in Kentucky, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know.
Right.
And there's a famous promo when they first got down there that New Jack said, and this is right after the OJ said the trial ain't even happened yet. Like he had just got locked up. And New Jack got on there and said, "Shout out to my homeboy O.J. Simpson. Keep up the good work. 2 less we got to worry about."
Yeah, buddy. Woo.
They said they had to put them in the trunk of the police cars to get them out of the arena after they wrestled and take them out of the arena. And that's, and we laugh about it right now because we know how crazy New Jack was. But
right,
imagine all the names they were called out there for. First of all, being the gangsters, and taking on every kind of, wearing all the Raider stuff, just looking like the world thought every black person looked like. And that every black, not every black person looked like, but every black person they were scared of looked like.
Right, right.
They took all that and ran with it and really got over, but in a heel way and in a bad way. And, I just imagine like you're going to work. You're going to work, you're playing a character. You're not on the TV, you're on the TV screen, but you're not in a TV show where there's a live audience that's allowed to sit there and say whatever they want to you. You imagine going to work every week and being called every name in the book. And this is supposed to be the early 90s where everything is supposed to be changed and we're supposed to be so far along, even though we're in 2026 and we still in a bad spot when it comes to racism and stuff of that nature. But we're not gonna get into no politics on here. But that took a lot of balls to be out there in Kentucky to say that stuff and knowing what kind of backlash you were gonna get.
Absolutely.
And especially New Jack, man. R.I.P. New Jack, but bro, he already is down in history as far as one of the that man got a hell of a resume, dog.
Wow.
He got a hell of a resume in the wrestling business. We're not gonna go into that because we got too much to cover and not enough time. You guys just Google New Jack if you want to sit there and read and watch some stuff with your mouth wide open.
Attempted murder charges and all kinds of stuff, man.
In the ring. Yeah, check it out. Yeah, R.I.P. New Jack. 4 justifiable homicides when he was a bounty hunter. Yeah, anyway. But New Jack and Mustafa, man, they were, and they weren't no technical wrestlers. They can do the hip toss and all that stuff. Their gimmick was to come out there and make people bleed, and they're gonna bleed, they're gonna get hurt, and they're gonna beat everybody up with the trash can, and Mustafa gonna come out there with the kitchen sink, you know what I mean? And and it's a gimmick match every time. They're gonna come out there to that Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, Natural Born Killers, and it's gonna play the whole match while they come out.
Yeah, and New Jack gonna do a dive from a balcony.
Right,
shit.
Right, yeah, man. Bro, I remember we was it had to be 97 still. Like we had just graduated high school, and that summer they came to the Civic Center in Cobb County Civic Center. And he dove right when you come in and walk down and then the stairs split off.
Yeah.
To go to the floor, he dove off of that. Yeah, off to the table. Yeah, that dude was crazy, man. But throw somebody out there, man. Let's talk about it.
Well, since we kind of been talking about tag teams, gotta talk about Harlem Heat.
Oh, bro.
Booker T, Stevie Ray, one of the greatest tag teams ever.
And probably are the greatest black tag team ever, but one of the best tag teams, period, out of anybody. Period.
Yeah. And they're actually brothers.
Right.
And of course, we all know Booker T ended up being Booker T. I mean, he Booker T then, but of course they start out as what they was Ebony
Express. Yeah, Ebony Express
or whatever. Yeah. And, or
they were Kane and
Eyebrow and all that stuff.
They were Kane and something else. They were
Kane and Cole.
Yeah.
Yeah. So of course, they said Sid was who got them. They got them their break with Sid hooked them up with Ole Anderson, who was booking at the time with WCW, and got them their start with WCW. Of course, they didn't look back then, but yeah, man, definitely have to mention Harlem Heat, especially since we're talking about currently about the with tag teams. But you know,
Right.
Booker T, of course, we're talking about tag teams, but you know, Booker T is pretty high on the food chain when we talking about black wrestlers, period. You know, Booker T arguably one of the
It's,
most decorated,
bro,
if
yeah.
not the most decorated black
That number one
wrestler
spot, the number
ever
one
in the
spot is a
business.
look. The number one spot gets tricky at the end, and we'll get there.
Right.
And we'll talk about those two at the end, or those three, because I think somebody else is involved in that, you know, not necessarily decorated like the other two, but really has a longevity. But we'll get into that. Let's stick to tag teams for a minute, talk about the New Day.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I think you know, tag team wrestling is not like it was in the 80s, in the 90s. Tag teams get broken up so quick these days, and you got tag teams like the Usos that have been together forever, but even they fought at WrestleMania and just now are getting back together after what, 2-3 years. And you know, just it's not popular anymore. It's not popular in the WWE. AEW is trying to bring it back. Of course, they had the Young Bucks over there, the FTR. And we're here to talk about Black History Month and Black Wrestling. But that's what makes the New Day so special for this era to be together so long. Yeah, they lost a member, E. Langston, but that's to an injury. You know what I mean? It produced 2 world champions, and they all stayed together at that time. They did the Freebird rule with the tag team championships. I have to say they're up there. They're not Harlem Heat-ish, but they're pretty close, especially with the longevity, the 2 out of 3 members being world champions. And we're talking about Kofi Kingston and E. Langston, Kofi Mania. We'll talk more about them in the end, but I really, you know, I think New Day is up there.
You know it's kind of difficult to rank these tag teams because in the wrestling business, you know, it's all about the push and
Yeah.
who and the era and who's the pin, who they pick to win. And to your point, they kept the Freebird rule going, and which is always clever because you don't know which two that you
You're
was
going to
going
face.
against.
Yeah.
And they have a very interesting story because they was kind of like creative was kind of done with them. They just kind of got thrown together just to, you know, sink or swim.
Right.
And they made it work.
And Superstar Swim.
And ended up being they was heels, then they became faces, and they kind of flopped back and forth, and then they was with the pancakes and the unicorns and all this crazy stuff they had going on.
Doing over stuff that get on your nerves, but it caught on and everybody started to dig it and love it, and the booty-os
and yeah, but like you said, and then you want to talk about being decorated. They have more tag team title reigns than the Usos, which in that era they clearly the 2 best the 2 best tag teams.
Yeah, you know, it took the Usos a while. It took them a while to get to that mountaintop. It took them a good little while,
right?
You know, but
you know, but you got to think about like the past 15 years or so. As far as the tag teams, they definitely them 2 teams. I mean, it was more teams, but them 2 teams held it down when tag team wrestling really was kind of like an afterthought.
Right.
You know, so you have to give a lot of credit.
Especially in WWE.
Especially in WWE. Yeah, so you have to give a lot of credit to New Day
Right.
and their accomplishments and for what all they have accomplished. And like you say, even with E. Langston and Kofi becoming WWE World Champions, you can't never take that away from neither one of them.
No, Kofi Mania was crazy, man. Kofi Mania was crazy. Everybody was loving that.
King in the Ring. Xavier won King in the Ring. So
Sprayberry High School finest.
Absolutely.
So, the New Day is a tag team. They're not necessarily a faction, but let's talk factions for a minute. Let's talk the nation. Let's talk the Nation of Domination.
No doubt.
Nation of
this earlier. And you look at now, Nation had different variation because you remember at first they had PG-13 with
Crush,
Wolfie D,
and Jamie Dundee,
So they then that was the early variation.
Time out, real quick. Time out. Okay. If you want to see a character, look up Jamie Dundee, and then I'm done. Go ahead, bro.
But that was the first version of it, and then they kind of like trim the fat, if you will. Not saying those other guys weren't worthy, but they kind of went more to, if you will, they went very militant, and it was, they had D-Lo and
the Godfather.
The Godfather was he was still Kama then, right?
Yeah, and then became the Godfather towards the end.
Kama.
Yeah,
right. And then of course Mark Henry was brand new. The leader was Farouk, Ron Simmons, Farouk, and then of course The Rock, which that was when he had his coming out party. And they found out this guy was great on the microphone, and then the whole dynamic with the leadership, the tug of war with the leadership, which always works great in a storyline, especially with a faction the way that was.
Right.
They had a great feud with DX, and it just worked. It was very, very entertaining. It was during the Attitude Era. So it was definitely when everybody and their mama was watching wrestling.
Right.
At that time. And it was very entertaining. Like, but you never, especially at that time, had a faction. I know we're talking about black wrestlers. But there are things that happened back then that they can't pull off on TV right now.
Oh no, that stuff with DX and the Hart Foundation.
Yeah.
He said the N-word. I heard
it. Yeah, that was one of them though. The whole Nation of Domination faction. But you just think of the stars that it produced out of that was
that's what I was gonna
monumental.
That's what I was gonna say. You get a multi-time champion in Mark Henry, who's been the WWE champion or was world champion, world's strongest man. You take The Rock in, who was still Rocky Maivia when he first came in, and eventually took on the persona as The Rock, but was, they didn't know what to do with him at the time. You know, because Rocky sucks, die Rocky die, and he's supposed to be, they wanted to bill him as the Samoan, and the blue chipper, and of course he is half Samoan, half black. So but became one of the one of the greatest sports entertainment icons the business ever seen. You know, if you look at it now, and let's talk about Ron Simmons too. Ron Simmons part of Doom, part of the APA, but Ron Simmons was the first black world champion. So you've got the first black world champion as the head of the stable, and then you've got all these superstars that are all going to eventually get over. D-Lo got over like crazy as part of the nation. Then when the Godfather got into his swing of things and was doing what he was doing, man, they made everybody got over that was in that at the end, that the last version of the nation, everybody got over. Because you had The Rock. The Rock was turning into The Rock. You know, D-Lo, Godfather, Mark Henry, and then Ron Simmons, like I say, he was already the man. You know, so it was like just everybody taking tutelage from the first black heavyweight champion, and then two of them move on to do the exact same thing. You know, and the other two, they don't never get to that hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? But they definitely got over. That stuff D-Lo used to do with the European title was hilarious.
You know? Yeah. Yeah, he was kind of underrated, really.
Yeah,
really think about you look back at that stuff. He should do some stuff. But you know, you talked about Ron Simmons, and I know we talked about Doom earlier, and of course, a All-American football player from Florida State. You know, finished
college football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, finished 8th in the Heisman. You know,
as a D lineman, right?
But I mentioned Bill Watts earlier with Junkyard Dog, Butch Reed, and Ernie Ladd. Well, Bill Watts was the booker for WCW when Ron Simmons became the first black world heavyweight champion.
Right.
So again, that's another nod to Bill Watts. So people can say what they want to say about Bill Watts. They said he's a hard ass, and a lot of wrestlers didn't like him because he was a hard ass.
Right.
But
he definitely wasn't scared. Right. He definitely wasn't scared to put them on top, where a lot of them belong. And Ron Simmons deserved to be world champion. He wasn't world champion because they needed to have a black champion. He deserved to be the champion. He had put in the work. Like I say, he was part of Doom. He was working with Luger when Luger was the champ with Harley Race, and he was getting the title shots then. And then finally pulled the trigger in Macon, Georgia, to beat Big Van Vader for the heavyweight championship WCW. So that was monumental. 1992, like I say, we talk about Bobo Brazil in the 50s and 60s, and it took all the way to 1992 for them to have first black world heavyweight champion, and luckily for us, it didn't stop there. You know what I mean? So you've had quite a few champions since then. And it's starting to get, and you're starting to see you're starting to see more and more black athletes fall in love with wrestling and want to be a part of it. You look at Evander Holyfield's son who played for the University of Georgia, and how he's trying to be in NXT and was on that, I forget what the show was called. It's so much shit. You can't keep up.
LFG.
Yeah, Legends. Rookies, something crazy. Yeah. But anyway, you're just starting to get more and more black athletes and more black wrestlers that shout out to AR Fox, who's got a school here in Atlanta and is on AEW and can really work. You know what I'm saying? So, and got some students over there, and has some couple of big names have been trained over there. Yeah, man. So shout out to him. But let's throw somebody else out. Yeah, man, shout out to Ron Simmons, man. What a career. What a long career. And if there's one guy on the checklist that they call for any kind of special thing that they're doing on TV with the older guys, he is always going to be involved in something.
Right.
And just all around good guy, man. We've met him a couple of times, man. Is never active, funny, and always willing to talk to you and stuff like that and have a conversation with you, man. Shout out Ron Simmons, man.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about one more stable. Let's talk about the Hurt Business.
Hey, you read my mind.
Well, then go ahead then. Start us off.
I just think they well, first of all, they was a faction, two different companies.
Right.
And,
which is crazy in itself.
Right. Right. And of course, Bobby Lashley, Black WWE champion, which looked exactly the same as he did 20 years ago, which is amazing.
Right. He looks like Roadblock from G.I. Joe.
Yeah, he still looks dangerous.
Right.
And then of course, I love MVP. Talking about a mouthpiece. He can, of course, he can't go like he used to. I mean,
right.
But he's a great mouthpiece. Definitely. I know managers are not really. AEW kind of use managers more than WWE now.
Right.
Now you just kind of really see the wise man, Paul Heyman. But there's a few, but Paul Heyman is that guy. But AEW, you have Stokely and
Chris
Don Callis,
Don
Callis, and they kind of more old school when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Right.
But MVP fits that bill. Shelton Benjamin's still a great athlete at this age now, which he had a long run WWE, the gold standard, and all these different accolades. He never won the big one, but he's a former Intercontinental champion, former tag team champion. Had great moments in Money in the Bank ladder matches and Royal Rumbles. So definitely the Hurt, what they call it, the Hurt Syndicate now, or whatever. They definitely still move the meter for me. I think they do a great job of keeping up with their image.
Let's talk about Shelton Benjamin for a minute. A great athlete, great amateur wrestler, collegiate amateur wrestler. Is he in your top 10 of black wrestlers?
I have to really sit down. I know we talking about it. I have to really sit down, and I didn't write out no list, but
I didn't do a top 10 either. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just curious.
Definitely, if he's not, he's close.
Right.
I don't know, cause far as worker, oh hell yeah, easy.
But all around package,
the whole package. I don't know.
Right.
That's something I would have to really think about.
I think we're on the same page. If he's not, he's close.
Right.
Yeah. Let's talk about one that doesn't have a very good reputation. And I want to hear what you think about this. And
I know what you're gonna say.
Who am I gonna say?
Ahmed Johnson.
Yeah. Ahmed Johnson doesn't have a good rapport with the black wrestlers, which is, I don't think I've ever heard anything bad ever said about Ron Simmons, Mark Henry. The only thing I've heard about Mark Henry, he got a temper on him.
Yeah.
But as far as beef, you don't hear about it.
Right.
And I don't see why you would, because if there's so few of you, you would all want to kind of stick together and build each other up. But he does not have a good reputation. Tell me, first of all, as a worker and just an all-around wrestler, tell me what you think about Ahmed Johnson. I know he's not in your top 10.
Nah, I remember when I first seen that dude, though. Like, he definitely looked dangerous. I know we use that a lot.
Yeah.
He looked dangerous.
The
way he was built, with the big nose, snarl.
Had all the big earrings and wore the jeans and the boots and
and he And he got a major push.
Yeah.
Like Vince loved him. Got a major push. He's one of those guys that you hear the other wrestlers talk about, and it's almost like look at him like a waste of talent. Almost
Yeah.
like he dropped the ball.
Yeah.
He had it on a silver platter, and he fucked that up. According, I know we don't know these people. We just go on
Right.
by the stories we hear, these podcasts and all,
Of
just like
course.
everybody else.
Just like
But
everybody else, right.
we all hearing the same thing about this dude.
Right.
The same thing. And I'm hearing the stuff about Ron Simmons, their little fallout. Him and The Rock didn't really get along. Then you hear Mark Henry talked about him, and Mark Henry is like, he can't stand that guy.
Right.
You hear all these different stories. Even Triple H talked bad about him. Like everybody talked bad about this dude. And I think a lot of the narrative is almost like, well, he had it right there in
Right.
front of him.
Right.
And he fucked up he fucked it up.
Yeah, he messed the money up.
His attitude and his shenanigans behind the scenes.
Yeah. Let's go back to the 80s for a second and talk about a couple of guys. And I want to talk about a trendsetter who might not be considered a trendsetter, but to me he was, with the way he cut his hair.
Iceman King Parsons.
Now you're starting to get on my nerves. Iceman King Parsons, the way he did his outfits and his gimmicks and the way he switched stuff up, he was totally different in world class, and then stepped it up 10 times more when he got to the NWA. I just think if you look at him and his outfits, and when he used to wear the top hat with that jacket, different colors and stuff, it was just, I think he was definitely a trendsetter. And was definitely over. And like I said, didn't have a long career that we saw because it was in our younger days. You know what I'm saying? He was kind of older guy, but I definitely want to add him on. You mention him at least as far as what I'm not saying he's a Hall of Famer or anything like that, but I'm definitely a trendsetter.
He definitely should be, especially since we talking about black wrestlers. Now, I will say, since you mentioned him having a top hat and all that, that's controversial because there was another black wrestler back then, Pistol Pez Wiley, used to also do the top hat and all that back in that era. And I don't know if they had beef. I don't know. I'm sure there's probably a podcast somewhere, shoot interview, that maybe one of them said they did it first or whatever. I'm sure.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure that was a thing. Because how people are, I did it first or whatever. But now,
that's what definitely remember Pistol. Pez Wiley definitely wore that, especially like in the NWA, when had the top hat on with the jacket with the tails on the back.
Yeah.
So and if one thing we know about the wrestling business, it's definitely a lot of copy and definitely a lot of biting going on in professional wrestling.
We just don't know who did it, especially back then. To your point, also we was young, one, and two, like you had to really read them damn magazines. To know any damn thing. It wasn't like now how we had the internet and podcasts and all this other stuff that we have going on. So there are guys that could have been in 1979 working this territory and all that. We don't know. Another black wrestler I want to mention that was in that era, Brickhouse Brown. He was another that he used to be dancing and shit. So he had a little run, similar territories like World Class and all of that. So shout out Brickhouse Brown.
What about Bad News Brown?
Hey,
Bad News Allen.
Now, that guy there was different. First of all, he was a karate champion. So they said like that dude was no joke. Like he
Right.
can really do something. And then you always hear the famous story on the bus. I think it was in the European tour or whatever on the bus with Andre.
With him, Andre, yeah.
Yeah, and they said Andre was making some racial remarks or whatever, and they said Bad News checked him. They said, and they were like Hogan, they were like they couldn't believe it because they never heard nobody talk to Andre because they was all scared of Andre.
Right.
And they never heard nobody like just talk to Andre like that. But then they was like, but at the same time, they knew like dude wasn't afraid of Andre, and
yeah,
then it was like you hear other wrestlers tell that story, and they said dude told Andre, he was like, hey man, like I don't want to hear you saying nothing like that no more. You know what I mean? We get off this bus and let's do something.
Right.
And it was like Andre ended up apologizing.
Right.
So that's all.
That's somebody you don't want no problems with. Apologizing.
Yeah. So
just like on the Longest Yard. Did you hear that? He apologized.
Yeah.
He said he was sorry.
Yeah, he yeah. I always think of I know he was in Stampede Wrestling and all this other stuff, but of course we know him from WWF, and I always think of I can't remember. I think it was WrestleMania 4. And they had like a battle royal, and Bad News Brown and Bret the Hitman Hart was the last two left. And they like teamed up to throw like the rest of the people out. They like teamed up, and like Bad News Brown double crossed them.
Yeah.
He gave him the ghetto blaster, and kick you to the back of the head, and threw Bret out. So Bret was hot, now that we know about Bret Hart and how he acts in real life, he was pissed off. Of course, part of the story, but of course, Bret came in with his whiny self and broke the trophy,
right?
And got his receipt. But I always think of that when I think of Bad News Brown. I always think of that how he, it's almost like, yeah, we both won. Like, no, still a battle royal, still every man for himself, but for Bret to be again storyline, but for Bret to be so gullible, like, yeah, we won.
I thought we were friends. Yeah.
Like, he gave the good old ghetto blaster, and
I thought we were pals.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of karate guy, let's talk Ernest the Cat Miller. I beat you to it. I ain't want you to cut me off again.
The greatest of all time.
3-time karate champion. If you think about the way he came in with the singlet and the knee pad, like it had the singlet with the knee pads and didn't have no shoes on. It was just, come out there and doing the karate stuff from what he became later on.
Yeah.
Bro, it's like, it's like you coming into business and it's just about you're trying so hard, and then the next thing you know, you're starting to catch on to everything, and then you're trying to see what I want to do this and try to do this, and then the next thing you just, bro, nobody got over in WCW like the Cat did back in the day.
Absolutely, man.
In the late WCW days, bro, everybody when he had Mrs. Jones, when he was doing the James Brown dance. Yeah, James Brown out there one time with him.
The real James Brown.
The real James Brown. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about charisma, man.
Godfather of soul.
Yeah, he definitely mouthpiece. Yeah, you're right. He definitely deserved to be mentioned on, in this episode. Shout out the Cat, Ernest Miller.
Yeah, man.
Like you said, from where he started to where he ended up being, definitely need to be highlighted. That's a great name right there that you mentioned.
Yeah, very entertaining, super entertaining, and could go and was for real with that karate shit. That stuff was for real,
Right.
So yeah, man. Shout out to the cat. Bro, let's talk Kamala, the Ugandan giant. In the 80s, when the stands are full of kids, still adults, way more women back in the 80s than they are now. Way more women were in the stands back in the 80s.
Right.
I was scared of Kamala.
You damn right. I was too. I was too, bro.
I was scared. And right, they had that wooden mask on, like the African artifact mask on. And then Kim Chi, his manager, wore a mask, wore that Mr. Wrasslin 2 mask.
Right.
Right. They might be out there with Harvey Wimpleman, you know what I'm saying? Bro, I was scared of that dude, man. And he had that moon and the stars painted on his stomach. And then, bro, man, he would make them noises. And then, like, he didn't talk. He just would hit his stomach and go crazy. Then he had that dress on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, do that splash. Yeah. Yeah, with the lips painted and all. Yeah.
Right, yeah, man, just was I was scared of dude. I was scared of Kamala. Yeah. But was definitely involved in some a lot of high text, a lot of high card stuff though.
Dude, the feud he had with the Undertaker.
Yeah,
scared of that casket, dog.
Hey man, you talk about it, just entertaining, but also scared. Of course, you get older, then it gets funny. But as a kid, bro, that shit was scary, dog.
Yeah.
He was a scary dude, but yeah, and that just goes back to like Andre being scared of the snakes,
right?
Them big guys always being scared of something. But yeah, he was scared to death of that coffin. It was hilarious.
One thing about Kamala, I heard him do interviews, and rest in peace to that gentleman. But he was one of the main ones that spoke up for Hogan. When Hogan got caught up in the racial remarks, Kamala was like, that man wasn't racist. He was like, I've worked with him and traveled with him, and he was like, that man ain't never racist to me. He ain't never been, he was one of the main ones from that era that rode up and down the road with Hogan, and of course you hear that it doesn't work for me, brother, and all this other stuff. But yeah, Kamala was one of the main ones that spoke up for Hogan, and I'll never forget him saying that, because he one of the main ones that wasn't.
And Mark Henry has some stuff to say about that as well. When he talked to him, sat down and talked to him about it and everything. And said Hogan was real open about talking about it, this and this. So, I mean, who knows, man? You hope not. We've all said stuff we regret. You know what I mean? Just when you're a superstar, everybody hears it. If everybody heard everything that we've said or you said that I said, it ain't all good. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, we got to be, we got to move. We got to be forgiving. We got to forgive one another, but we also got to learn how to, when you do get upset and that real you comes out, or that the upbringing that you have comes out, then that becomes a problem. And you got to watch what you say, man. Because at the end of the day, we're not all the same, but we're all human. Right. And we need to respect one another. And if something bothers another person, then hell, just don't do it. You know what I mean? Something bothers you, then and people got the common courtesy not to do it, you did, return the favor. Simple as that. You can't get along with Trey. You can't get along with everybody,
right?
But hell, one race against one race, and I don't like you because you don't look like me, and this, and this. Man, that shit's way old. You know what I mean? But anyway, hey, we got to knock out a few more because I won't feel right if we end this without saying some more names because we can't leave them off, and we definitely got to talk about two by themselves at the end. I want to talk. Let me see if you know what I'm talking about this. I want to talk about a guy who had a run in WWE, ECW, WCW. Not the original high flyer, but one of the most innovative and so smooth with his moves. Would dance on the way to the ring, dance in the ring, but is when you talk about high flyers, especially in the 90s, you mention this guy. Very a lot of charisma, very entertaining.
Oh, yeah, your boy.
Too Cold Scorpio.
You damn right.
Yeah. Flash Funk.
About, you want to talk about somebody who, to me, is underrated.
Yeah.
Ahead of his time, as far as his move set, what he was able to do off them ropes, being a high flyer. The man was simply amazing. For those people who don't know who Too Cold Scorpio is, look him up on YouTube.
Please do your homework.
Yeah, look him
You'll
up.
be amazed every time. Be amazed every time.
He was definitely before his time and underrated, really.
Right.
Underrated.
Had the WWE run when he was Flash Funk. Of course, then they did the hardcore thing, and he was with Terry Funk after that. ECW run, WCW, all over Japan. I mean, he's been everywhere, got over everywhere. Always been a fan favorite. Don't really know, always got love from the crowd. Very underrated when you talk about him, especially the move set. And when you talk about his move set, the way he did everything was so smooth. The way he would hop on the ropes, the way he'd do his flips, the things he would do off the top rope, it was just so smooth. And the way he would land stuff, it's just almost like that swag came out even in his move set. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. The 450 leg drop, all that stuff, bro. Just with the way he would jump off in front and then turn himself in the air and land backwards, doing a 180 in the air. Bro, he just that amazing wrestler to watch. Yeah. And can't have this episode without mentioning him.
No doubt.
Yeah. Let's talk. We talked managers earlier. Let's talk Teddy Long. Gotta talk Teddy Long. Teddy Long went from being getting your gear at the ring and taking it back to being a referee to a manager, back to a referee in the WWE, then a manager, then a general manager, and now Hall of Famer. Now that's a career.
Absolutely.
That's a career, and probably should have mentioned him earlier and not waited so long. As far as the impact that he's had on the business, Atlanta guy, which we did. R.I.P. Antoine Long, man, his son. But Teddy Long, and it also was the manager of Doom, the tag team. Managed the Skyscrapers. That's back when it was cool, man, for them guys to have more than one team and have a little roster.
Right.
Managers had rosters back then. You might go out there 3 times a night. You know what I mean? Did a lot of stuff with Flair, back in the day. No, he's not a fan of Flair.
Yeah, he'll let it be known too.
Right, absolutely. But that's their personal business. But yeah, man, shout out to Teddy Long. Talk about another. I don't know if you want to say anything about Teddy real quick, or we can shout out another manager.
You know, another manager.
Reverend Slick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Slick. He had a roster as well. But came the dream. That came the African dream. We're not going to talk about Akeem, the African dream, on this show because he's not black.
AKA the one-man gang.
Right. But that's that we had to talk about Akeem the dream on here one day. But yeah, man, Slick was definitely fit in with the WWF back then. As far he was on the cartoon, right? He rapped his own entrance music. They had the video, and not to say that he was cartoonish as the WWE was back in the day, but he just fit in so good there and really got over, especially as a heel manager.
Absolutely.
And then, and shout out to him for actually really becoming a reverend, turning his life around. And yeah, man, shout out to Slick, but definitely had to mention them. Then we talked about Prince Nana and what is Stokely, a couple managers, AEW. We talked about MVP. Let's talk a few. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you read my mind, and we don't have to go really in depth, but it'd be a disservice if we don't mention the Jacquelines, the Sasha Banks, the Bianca Belairs, of course,
right?
Obviously Naomi, yeah. Definitely have to. I know we've been heavy with the male wrestlers.
Right.
And we definitely have to we can't go without mentioning those ladies.
Right. And Last Legend. Jada Parker.
Oh, she just had her 27th birthday, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to throw that one out there.
Yeah.
Parker. Yeah.
And there's been a few more ladies that, a lot of these are recent, but that are still working, and there's not really a lot of black women wrestlers from back in the day. Right. You had Jazz, who was, you talk about a force. Yeah, she was. You talk about somebody dangerous. Jazz was dangerous. Yeah. She was dangerous.
She was Jack.
Yeah, and
who was that one? I forgot her name, and she was kind of like in the same era as she's in Total Divas.
Yeah, with
she got Double A in trouble. Where they said she worked when she was intoxicated, and Double A let her work. That's how he got fired as what's her name? You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Damn, I can't think.
Alicia, was it Alicia? Fox. Yeah, Alicia Fox. Yeah. And she was a Fox. Absolutely. Yeah. We talked Kofi Kingston. We talked guys of this era. Let's talk about R-Truth, man.
Hey, no doubt.
Let's talk R-Truth. First black NWA heavyweight champion. NWA goes back. I don't even know. I don't even know if it goes back past the 1900s. It might. The NWA is crazy, but it's early 1900s.
Right.
In the 2000s, the year 2000s, R-Truth became the first black NWA heavyweight champion. That alone puts him up there. The career he has, man, after all these, and of course, you know the story about him being released earlier late last year, being brought back. I believe that the fans made that happen. I believe that they're listening to the fans a little bit more than they usually do these days. I believe the man was let go. There was really nothing to do for him, and I didn't think they just didn't know how it was going to impact everybody.
Right.
And they didn't know the fans would hijack the show and CM Punk R-Truth. You know what I mean? And they listened and brought him back. But the career he's had, the gimmicks, forget about him being 200-time, 24/7 champion. Everything he does is entertaining.
Right.
And don't forget, at the end of the day, that his moveset and the way that he did his moves with the spins and the stuff that he did, so athletic and so good in the ring. Sticks to what he loves doing, his music and stuff, and it's just all around very entertaining. Always has been.
Right.
And the career he has, bro, to make it that long in the WWE is crazy anyway.
You want to talk about somebody who doesn't age.
Right.
I mean, like, shit. Yeah, definitely deserve to mention R-Truth. And you think of, and now he's kind of more obviously a comedy act,
Right.
Which he made it work, but he was so much more than that,
Right.
in his heyday, and
Right.
he made it work. So shout out to R-Truth, and I'm glad that no matter how they're using him, I'm glad that he's still getting TV time. But there's two more tag teams that I don't want to not mention.
Okay.
Crying Time and Street Profit.
Right. Absolute R.I.P. Shad Gaspard.
Absolutely.
But they were good, man. And I've said this 1,000 times that when this came across, WWE missed out on them as far as a heel tag team. They could have been just like the Gangsters, but not as far as being. They could have been one of the biggest heel tag teams that you have ever seen. And they made it a comedy thing. They made it they were good in the ring. You had the big guy, then you had JT, who's actually a technical wrestler that can really wrestle and loves the wrestling business, like crazy about wrestling business and loves to wrestle. You know what I mean? And you had Shad, who was the big guy, do all the power moves. Man, they could have really, they missed out on that, if you ask me.
I just think what happened with that, and I know we don't have the pen, and it's just our opinions, but I just think that Vince really leaned too far into the black stereotype,
right?
With the rapper image, and it felt like I was watching a movie with the Waynes or something,
Right.
Or they was like. It was over the top, it was like these black dudes that know how to be black dudes, and you made them over the top, act like black dudes. You know what I mean? It just kind of, I don't know. It just always to me felt forced.
Yeah, and it was.
This is how y'all supposed to go out there and act.
Right.
But we're black. Like, well, we know how to act. No. You got to go out there and sell it,
Right.
And
baby, this, and this. Yeah. And
that's kind of how I felt with that. And then I know it was years later with the Street Profits, which is not as over the top. And they kind of like even now, where in the hell are they? You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? They flirted. They even flirted with like, are they gonna break up? And because you know you had the one guy, Bianca's husband,
Mm-hmm. Martez Ford.
Montez
Martez
Ford.
Ford.
Yeah, he's the mouthpiece. It seems like he's the one that they want to push if they
Right.
was to break up, you know. But I like both of them in their own way, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, okay, now I know Bianca's injured. We talked
Mm-hmm.
about that before with her fingers. That why they're off TV.
I
Uh,
couldn't even tell
you
you.
know,
Yeah.
it's like, then are they going? They probably gonna repackage them, bring them back, try to be a little more serious.
I hope they do because
Yeah,
they like. Let's just be real. The big dude, and I forget his name, and that's how over they are. You know what I mean? Like you remember
yeah,
Montez Ford because he's always mentioned with Bianca Belair. They're always doing something, but with him, like his gear is like so lame, bro. It's like a basketball outfit.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's hard to take a big guy serious when he just, you know what I'm saying?
And he kind of got in a better shape too. He don't look as
Right,
bad
right,
with his shirt off.
right. Yeah, but you can do something different with that. Like,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? So I don't know, man. But yeah, hopefully they do repackage him because that I mean he looked like he got the the basketball shorts and tank top with the little long the little long socks or whatever. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? This shit's lame, dog. Like, and then your boy come out there with the red cup. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, it's not as over the top like Crime Time was, but it's it gives Crime Time feels.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Before we get to these last couple, man, because I think we just about. I did want to mention Swerve Strickland,
You damn right.
um, former AEW champion. Bro, some of them hardcore matches and some of the stuff he's done, bro. They done some crazy stuff over there in AEW. And if you like wrestling, just fast pace, stuff that you're not blood and stuff like that, go check out AEW, man. You're not gonna get a whole lot of story and everything that the WWE gives, but that's why it's different. That's why it's so cool to be a wrestling fan right now, man. It's you can't watch everything. If you got half of a
Right.
life, you can't watch everything. You know what I'm saying? You got to be doing it for a living, and it still might not be able to see everything that's going on. You know what I'm saying? You can't
Right.
have no old lady and no kids and be active in their life and not be and be able to watch every bit of wrestling that's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But shout out Swerve Strickland, man. Will Hobbs, want to mention him. I don't know I don't know what's going on right now with him
What's
and
he?
W.
What they call him now? Royce Keys. That he would
Yeah,
leave WWE. Yeah.
but they saying they might. I don't know. I don't know what's rumors and what ain't with all these fake dirt sheets and stuff that's out now. But I keep reading stuff to say they're already done with it.
Damn, I ain't hear that, but I did
Man,
hear that they.
I on everything. I've read that at least 5 or 6 times in the last week, and I hope, like I say, you today you can't trust none of this stuff that you read. So I hope it ain't true, and I hope he gets
Well,
a chance there and
they
gets a
said
chance to
he
shine.
wrestled. He wrestled in a dark match in SmackDown this past week. So
Mhm. Yeah. So if we don't mention this name, then we're doing a disservice to everybody that's paying attention right now, and that's PN News.
yo, baby, yo, baby, yo, the rap master.
Hey, say what you want about PN News. He was big, he was nasty, but he was athletic, and he could do that splash off the top rope,
Hey, that dude fought in the scaffold match, dog. So,
bro. So say what you want, but the got a major push. Got a major push. Not no title push, but he wasn't no jobber. Yo,
That's the
baby,
rap
yo,
master.
baby, yo.
The
Hey,
rap master.
right. Before we talk about these last two on the top of the mountain guys, we got to mention the greatest African American jobber to ever step foot in the square circle, and that's Rocky King.
Rocky King.
Hey man, shout out to Rocky King, man. Rocky King is the one that brought JYD into the. He was part of that storyline when they brought JYD in when he was feuding with Ole Anderson.
Yeah.
Ole Anderson was bullying him. JYD came to the rescue. But
Rocky King. That's the Mr. Hughes.
I was just finna say that.
Yeah.
Mr. Hughes, yeah, man. Mr. Hughes.
Yeah, Mr. Hughes. I mean, like, he used to work in them damn suspenders, bro. Like,
you ain't never have to worry about your pants coming down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I used to be in that business outfit with them gloves on.
Yeah.
You talking about somebody look dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fit the description.
It's be out there on Lemon Street. Yeah, buddy.
We're gonna keep that one to ourselves. But shout out to Mr. Hughes.
I don't know who the last two you're gonna mention, but we gotta mention Obafemi.
Okay.
I mean, especially now.
Yeah.
Especially now, he seems like he about to get the big push.
Yeah.
And he doing his thing, and so we definitely have to mention him, and I'm sure there's big things coming his way. So just mention names, Obafemi. So for those of you who are current wrestling fans, currently watch the product, y'all know who the hell we're talking about.
Right.
Former 2-time NXT champion. But for those who kind of curious, don't really know, look up Obafemi.
Yeah.
He looks dangerous. We use that word a lot, but he looks dangerous.
That's the welcome to wrestling word of the day.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, one more honorable mention. Virgil.
Have to mention him.
Yeah.
You have to mention him. He's another one of those guys that people don't talk to. He don't have the greatest reputation, but
right.
He's definitely, especially in that era, he definitely a pioneer in the golden era. Bodyguard for the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Then was the only other $1 Million champion.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, well, until they gave it the ringmaster. But
end up being Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, but and it was part of NWO as Vincent, and they said, they said Virgil, when his name was Virgil, that was a shot at Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, it said it was a rib, right?
Right. And then when they named him Vincent, it was a shot at Vince.
Right.
When he was in WCW. So who knows? But definitely was involved in everything NWO had, always got the beat down, always was the first one to jump in the ring when they tried to interfere and stuff. And, he played a pivotal part in the NWO. Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So had for somebody like that to stay employed for that long, had to be doing something right.
Rest in peace to that guy.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Virgil, man. All right, let's talk about it. And these two, and we've spoke on them a little bit already, but let's talk about The Rock for a minute, and then we'll talk about Booker T. Because if if we're gonna rate black wrestlers, I don't know the top 10, but I know the top 2. And if The Rock is gonna go down as a black wrestler because he's half black, half Samoan, I've never met a person that was half black and didn't say they were black. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Fact.
But I mean, for real. So,
For real.
But when you talk about The Rock, as decorated as he is, the run was not that long.
Right.
When he left to go to Hollywood, he's came back and give us some stuff, but he's my number 2. And I want to say Booker T is number 1 when it comes to the number 1 African American wrestler. And when you think about African American wrestler, I think he's the first one that pops in your mind. Was a world champion in WWE,
5 time.
WCW, TNA, is a 2-time Hall of Famer. As part of the Harlem Heat, got his wife Charmel involved, and she played a major part in his in career in TNA and in WWE. The way he's evolved himself with King Booker, the different stuff they do, the Spinner-Rooney, and just the longevity of his career. Got his own promotion, where he's trained the Usos, got Zilla Fatu over there, who's gonna be, ain't no telling when he'll come out, but soon. Matter of fact,
Perez came out.
Right.
Yeah.
Zilla Fatu is gonna be fighting MJF at GCW. That's gonna be crazy. So he's really doing the independent thing. He's one of the main independent guys right now.
Right.
But yeah, man, shout out to him. But yeah, man, Booker T, man, the main event mafia, the legends became the legends champion at TNA champion, came back to WWE. As far as, he was GI Bro and, did different stuff, but the way he evolved from being a tag team wrestler, being one of the greatest, this is what he is. He's the best, the greatest black wrestler of all time, and he's also part of the greatest black tag team of all time. So I think Booker T is where we end. You know what I'm saying? But as far as names, I want to hear what you think about Booker T and just a quick response.
It's like I agree and disagree with you at the same time. I agree with you because there's no argument to all the accolades and everything said about Booker T, because you're right. I think you can't argue that. He is to your point, when you think of black wrestlers, you can't put nobody above him.
Right.
The only reason why I disagree is because The Rock is a Rushmore guy.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing that holds The Rock back, to your point, is his longevity.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Booker T should be number 1 in that slot.
Yeah.
It's just weird because The Rock is arguably on the Rushmore.
Yeah.
And, but I agree with you, though. I do.
Yeah.
Especially the way you just articulated that. How can you not go with Booker T?
Right.
Because of longevity and him being arguably one of the greatest tag teams ever.
Right.
2-time Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and being one of the most decorated guys ever.
Yeah.
Because he's held them all.
Yeah. So I think you could have dropped the mic on that.
Yeah.
So There's no argument here. I said what I said. Like I said, I agree but disagree, but I really don't disagree. I agree.
Yeah.
It's just weird because
Yeah.
The Rock is a Rushmore guy,
Yeah.
arguably. So it's like,
Right.
well, but you're right though. The Rock definitely didn't have the career Booker T had as far as longevity.
Right.
And I think that's a great way to end this podcast, brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we'll be back next week and we'll be talking all things Elimination Chamber. We should know pretty much everything that's going to go down because it'll be 1 week away and then we'll come back and do the review. Just a quick reminder, this episode is being brought to you by Alpha Mac Transport. Take care of all your towing needs in the metro Atlanta area. Call 770-694-0634. And all you got to do is mention welcome to Wrasslin and you'll get 10% off of your towing bill. Alpha Mac Transport. Hey, man, I tell you one thing, and I don't know much, but I do know this. It's welcome to Wrasslin.
Like, comment, subscribe, people. For those of you that haven't, the people who have, we love you for it. The ones who haven't, we still love you. If you're watching it, we love you all. Thank you for your support. But if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Please. This is how this thing works. We're trying to grow the channel. So please like, comment, subscribe, people. Please.
Absolutely. 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 Yeah, man. It's been Welcome to Wrasslin, man. Episode 61, bro. All right, man. See you next week.
Welcome to Wrasslin.
Welcome to Wrasslin.
Welcome to Wrasslin, Chetty Bobby. Welcome to Wrasslin with Big E and the POT. Podcast tag champs of the whole world, slamming like a DDT. Got it just like a figure four. Hulk Hogan, all they do is flex. Talking wrestling while they get the dough. Off the top like a superplex. Think they letting up? Hell no. Dusty Rose with the elbow. From the corner like a stinging splash. Straight to the face, I know you felt those. Hey, y'all crying out for help though. Rising up like the dead man. About to go upside your head like Stone Cold with the